Hello and welcome to another tutorial regarding Firebase and Vue. In this tutorial, I will explain how to add a product section with different sub products and how to connect them to a collection on the Firestore. If you've seen the previous videos on how to access a user data document and also insert a user data document, you will be familiar with the process of getting information from the collection. The only difference here is that instead of requesting or getting or reading a specific document, this time we will read a collection of documents. To do that, we will, first of all, I already have a component created called products, okay? And the products component will really contain it will be a big component that will contain many sub components. Okay, so let me just take out some stuff here. I wanted to a second. Here we go. I'm gonna clean up the students part and take out the image here and my image here. Okay, so later on I will explain precisely what it means. Okay, so right now, so it looks everything much more homogeneous, much more in an orderly fashion. If I see the web page, as you can see, I have all the students listed from left to right and jumping down, because I defined a grid-like structure that will show all the students in that collection. Okay, the idea is that you add your own products. Okay, great. So let's look into the products element. The products element or component will really be a component that will contain many products. Okay, as you can see, I created a product component and a products as a plural components. The products component will be the component that will contain many product. Okay, and to do that, I already requested the database to send me information from the student collection. Yeah, the students collection. I'm asking him by adding these options in here, the Firestore section that Vue Fire allow us to add this option. The moment it loads the component, products component, it connects to the Firestore, executes this line here that asks for all the components inside the students tree. Okay, and it stores it in the items array, which I already defined here. And all this belongs to the products component, not the product, but the products. Okay. So eventually, once the component products loads, it will download all the students it finds and stores it in an array of objects students. Remember that when we see the login here and the user information, an object, a document looked like this. So now we will have many of these, one near the other, inside an array. So, how do I use this array on the HTML side? Well, the idea that we have here is the option to, let me just comment this, for example, for now, not use the product component for now, like this. Okay, the idea is that using the V4 option, the one here, we are telling it to repaint the div as many times as there are items. To repeat this div, it will look like this. Okay, one above the other. Okay, so the idea by doing that is that we don't, instead of writing all the code one after the other, yes, this option really allows us to tell the code to repeat itself as many times as there are items in the items array. Right now there are 6 items, so eventually it will paint the div 6 times. But now we're interested in using the information of each object inside the array. And to do that, we are telling him to go one by one in the array, yes, storing the information of the specific object in that moment in the item object here. We can change the name to, for example, object or student. It really doesn't matter, okay? As long as we respect the name of the array that is on this side. If we change this, we have to change also the name here, okay? We have to be aware of all that. Now, the student in each one of the iterations of the loop for will contain the information that we are interested in showing. So if I want, for example, to show its name, I will have to do something like this: student name. Because inside the, as you can see, it's working, inside the student object, there is a field called name. Okay, now I will disable the visual because I've added, just to make it a background color, I will take this out, okay, just in case, so we can see it better. Yeah, well, that's it. It's using the color of the product of the component itself. I added a lot of different background colors, so don't worry. So now it's showing each of the users' names. Okay. Now the thing is that personally, I always try to use a component-based development. So putting the raw information here is not the best of ideas. That is why I created the product component, which will be in charge of showing the information of each of the users, of each of the cards. Yeah. So eventually, if I go here to the products HTML, I'm telling him, and I again put this back and activate this, okay, I'm telling him to execute this code as many times as there are items in the array. Okay. The final step I need to comply is to see how I can send the data of the user, the student information, to the product so he can use it in its own code here. As you can see, I'm not really accessing from here in the JavaScript of the product, I'm not really going and asking the database for the information again. I'm just using the information it sends me from here. And as you can see in this highlighted code, I'm sending the information of the student directly to the product using a property as a variable. Okay, this property ELEM element, I've defined it here as a prop, not as a variable, but as a property. Okay, the properties have a similar behavior as public variables inside the class, which allow us to create the option to send information to a component that from component to component, setting its data just by putting the information with an equal and setting it this way. So eventually, the element property, the LM property, will be set here in each one of the iterations of the for. Each time the for jumps from student to student, it will paint a product it will try to paint the HTML of the product and send the student info to the product so you can use it here. Okay, remember the new name of the student now, it's called LM, and it will show the element, the LM name, the LM height, and the image, LM image URL. Okay, eventually, if I store everything, if I save everything, and I execute it again, now it shows me precisely what there is inside, yes, the product element, and not what I wrote in the products, but in the product. Okay. Now you will see that there are sections that don't have the height. That's because when it detects that it doesn't exist, it just doesn't paint it. Right? Because there are some students that doesn't have the height defined, like Martha, Jonathan. Okay. Okay. And with this, we define the option to request information, a collection from the database in the product section here. We retrieve the information and we store it in the items. Then, because it detects the item changed its value, it repaints the HTML site. And when it tries to repaint it, it detects that the items, there are more than 0 items. So it will run this code as many times as there are items in the items array. And each one of the iterations in each code, in each cycle, it will store in the student the information of the item in that moment read. For example, item 0 will be student and it will be called. It will be sent to the product. Item 1 will be in student again and it will be sent. So in each run of the 4, the student will contain the information that we want to show, and eventually we are sending that information to the element property here, which we defined already in the product element, and we are showing it and using its information here. Okay, we will always have to remember to import the components that we use in one component on another. We have always to import it, and that's it. The next part, I will show you how to connect, how to upload your images to the database and show it in this section.